rules them out.
Talk about Rudy Giuliani, someone who pro-abortion rights, pro-gay rights, pro-gun control was said a year ago. He does have a prayer for the Republican nomination, leading in the national polls, and he has become the target of the International Association of Firefighters about his behavior on September 11th leading up to that date. Let's watch part of a 13-minute DVD that Union put out.
We did need radios that worked. We didn't have them. We did need proper respiratory protection. He didn't give it to us. The things that we needed to do our job even better, we didn't have because of his administration.
So ultimately, the mayor of New York at the time, Mr. Giuliani, he has to bear these responsibilities.
And I blame Giuliani. He was the leader that day. And he was the leader for the 8 years leading up to that.
I wish I could put him on the stand where he'd have to put his hand on the Bible and swear to tell the truth.
He's not a leader. He's running on 9/11, and it's all a fallacy.
The Giuliani campaign came out swinging preemptively. Here's the report. Rudy dismisses Union's swift boat-style attack. Rudy Giuliani's presidential campaign moved quickly to blunt what it sees as a sensationalist swift boat-style attack by the International Association of Firefighters. Before the union was able to release a video full of angry testimony belittling Giuliani's support of New York City firefighters, the campaign fired off releases and held a news conference. Bob Shrum, you went through the swift boat situation with John Kerry. How did Rudy Giuliani handle this situation? And will this kind of testimony against him hurt?
He did the best he could. He's running a campaign that's premised almost entirely on 9/11. He had to fight back. He had a tough week. He seems to have a reverse Midas touch when it comes to picking personnel. I mean, when you look at Senator Vitter and some of the other people that he's recruited in the South who've gotten in some serious problems, I think he has a deeper and more fundamental difficulty, which is if you believe what they're saying, their strategy is to shortchange Iowa and New Hampshire and go to Florida. Well, Mitt Romney's competing in Florida. He'll have the money to do that. He's investing heavily in Iowa and New Hampshire. If he won there and went into Florida, I think Giuliani's campaign could be very short-lived.
How did Giuliani handle this?
I think he has a deaf ear when it comes to Republicans. I felt that for a long time. I still would like to see him win a Republican primary. You know, these polls are great, Bob, but winning in New Hampshire, winning in Iowa, as you say, is going to be difficult. I would say this. When he talks about a swift boat campaign, you know, for Republicans, the swift boat was a very good thing. It kept John Kerry from being president. So, I mean, the idea...
I'm not sure that's what happened. I think Osama bin Laden did that
well,
with his tape.
I think it had a lot to do with it, particularly the way the Kerry campaign handled it. But to make that a pejorative, it's like a lot of liberal Republicans would talk about McCarthyism. A lot of Republicans like McCarthy.
And you still do.
That's a whole other show.
You know, Tim, I still have a great deal of difficulty imagining the Republican Party nominating a pro-choice, pro-gay rights, thrice married New Yorker. But Rudy has shown he can take a punch. I really slightly disagree. He really has shown that in the last couple of months. He hasn't been shaken. And I think every time this issue is joined, even from critics, Rudy wins. If the issue is 9/11, people think Rudy is the hero. That, I think, is good for Rudy.
Tactically, his response was great. I think the firemen are half about pensions and salaries and other things are than 9/11. But Rudy has two big problems. One is his campaign does not have a second story that moves forward in a change election. We know about 9/11. He's going to get caught on a referendum of 9/11 instead of moving forward what he's going to do with the country. If he doesn't get over that hurdle, he's going to have big problems. And I agree with Shrum. This strategy where I'm going to let somebody clobber me for a while and then I'm going to come up to the floorboards invincible and shock everybody. It's been tried. It is a deadly strategy, and he'll lose if he does that. The process doesn't wait for you to pick later states to make a stand in. It's totally fluid. You got to win early and ride the bounce.